Don't unload another box. A furious man in an expensive gray suit stormed toward the family, waving a folder in the air. You people don't belong in this neighborhood. 7-year-old Ava Johnson immediately grabbed her mother's hand as strangers surrounded their new home. Her father, David Johnson, calmly stepped forward and held up the house keys. We bought this home legally. If you love stories like this, please subscribe to support True Crime Uncovered. Within minutes, the entire neighborhood was watching. Some recorded with their phones. Others simply stared in silence. David had spent nearly 20 years building a successful engineering company. His wife, Naomi, was a respected pediatric doctor. Together, they had finally purchased the dream home they had worked their entire lives to afford. But to the president of the Maple Ridge Homeowners Association, Harold Whitmore, none of that mattered. All he saw was a black family moving into his neighborhood. Before sunset, Harold called an emergency HOA meeting. He claimed David had violated neighborhood rules before even moving in. The accusations became more ridiculous by the hour. The truck is too large. The lawn isn't properly maintained. The mailbox isn't approved. Their neighbors were warned not to speak to them. Contractors suddenly refused to complete scheduled work on their home. Even the moving company canceled the final delivery. David couldn't understand how everything had gone wrong so quickly. One evening, Ava quietly asked her father, "Daddy, why doesn't anyone here like us?" David forced a smile. They don't know us yet. But deep inside, he knew the truth was much harder. Days later, Naomi received an anonymous envelope in the mail. Inside was a flash drive. No name. No note. Just one word. That evening, David inserted the drive into his laptop. The video began. It showed a private HOA board meeting recorded by a hidden security camera. Harold Whitmore stood before the board and said, "If we make life difficult enough, they'll leave." Another board member asked, "What if they sue us? We'll bury them in violations before they can." Then came the sentence that froze the room. "I don't care how successful they are. I don't want black families living on this street." David looked at Naomi. Neither spoke. The recording continued for nearly an hour. Board members discussed creating fake complaints, selective rule enforcement, and targeting only minority homeowners. The next morning, David contacted a civil rights attorney. The lawsuit made national headlines. News crews filled the quiet neighborhood. Former residents came forward with similar stories. One elderly Hispanic couple admitted they had sold their home years earlier after facing identical harassment. An Asian family described receiving thousands of dollars in unfair fines. The pattern became impossible to ignore. The courtroom was packed. Harold Whitmore confidently denied every accusation. "We treated everyone equally." The attorney quietly connected a laptop to the courtroom projector. "Your Honor, we'd like to play Exhibit 47. The hidden meeting recording echoed through the courtroom. Every juror listened. Every reporter took notes. Harold's own voice filled the room. "I don't want black families living on this street." His face turned pale. The courtroom fell silent. The judge removed his glasses. This case was never about neighborhood rules. It was about discrimination disguised as policy. One by one, former victims testified. The evidence continued for days. Financial records, emails, meeting minutes, security footage. The jury deliberated less than 3 hours. The verdict was unanimous. The HOA was found liable for racial discrimination, housing violations, conspiracy, and civil rights abuses. Harold Whitmore was permanently removed from office. Several board members faced additional legal action. The Johnson family received substantial damages. But David wanted something far more important. The court ordered the HOA to eliminate its discriminatory policies and operate under independent oversight. Months later, children from every family in the neighborhood played together in the community park. No signs, no division, no fear, only laughter. "Daddy!" Now everyone waves at us. David smiled back. They finally learned something. What? That a good neighbor isn't measured by the color of their skin, but by the kindness they bring to the people around them. The crowd at the community celebration applauded. Justice hadn't erased what happened, but it made sure it could never happen the same way again. Sometimes prejudice builds walls, but truth always finds the door. If you love stories like this, please subscribe to True Crime Uncovered.